So here's the first step, building your own CDK or creature discovery kit. I like acronyms. I just it makes it look more interesting. But basically, these are some random shapes, very organic, very random, very abstract that I created within ZBrush. And I mean, they're a combination of ZBrush and Modeler because I wanted to test both. So these are the same assets here in Modeler. I'm going to try to cover both. I have my headset here with me. But yeah, so this is what we're going to try to create. And I know that might look like, oh, why are we doing this? I mean, I thought we were going to create creatures. But this is the important part. Like if you set yourself up for success, if you create this plan, if you build your own assets, then whatever you're going to produce with those assets is going to be unique, and it's going to be uniquely yours, if that makes sense. So you can literally use these assets, which I created for my own creature. So you can use that. That's totally fine. But I think there is value on the process of creating your own stuff. And like I said, if you create some assets like this on your own, those are going to be different from what I provide. So that alone gives you a unique sort of point, right? Because everything that you create is going to be your own. So yeah, this is what we're going to be building. I'm going to show you how to do it in ZBrush, and then we're going to jump into Modeler to continue that step. All right, so let's start with ZBrush, and let me just switch my stand here. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and start with this. Now, the more pieces you make, the better. I would aim for maybe 25. 25 is a good number that gives you enough random stuff. And one of the cool things about it is if you start creating pieces that have a specific style or shape, then the resulting creature is going to be in that sort of specific style. So in other words, if you create shapes that have lots of angular pieces, so I'm going to select here my knife brush. Let's duplicate the sphere. By the way, this is just a sphere that I turned into Polymesh 3D. I'm going to duplicate it so that I always have that first piece here that I can keep duplicating if I wanted to. Turn it off, or go into solo mode. Let's say if you have your knife brush, which you can access by holding Control and Shift and access there, and you start doing this stuff, and that's it. This could be one shape, maybe a bit more. You see the angularity and the really sharp edges of this shape. That would dictate the visual of your creature. So it might be more like a hard surface mecha type of thing, just because the shapes that you make. So keep that in mind. If you want an organic creature, create more organic shapes. And one of the most important things that I could share with you in this building of your own CDK is try not to be too literal. So just feel free to create random stuff. If you go too detail, like if you create things that are very specific to detail, then when you reuse them, they're going to be very easy to spot and to say, okay, this is the same thing used twice or 3 times in the same creature or in multiple creatures. So keep things very generic and very organic, and just play with the different shapes. Just concentrate on shapes. So I'm going to start with this one. The key here would be to enable Sculpting Pro, and I'm going to use. I'm actually going to hang on. Let me reset my custom UI. I'm going to use the snake hook brush, right? And as soon as you select this brush, it's telling you that this works better with Sculpting Pro. So I'm going to click OK. So I'm going to enable it and increase my brush size. And I'm going to hold the smooth brush or the smooth key, holding Shift, and that basically smooth things out. Right? Again, I'm not paying too much attention to what things are going to be. I sort of have a rough idea of what I'm going with these shapes because I've done heaps of them when I was testing things. So this looks kind of like a shape that I could use maybe for a fang, or it could be a nose. Like if you look at it like this, or it could be, it could be a bunch of things. But I'm not thinking about, okay, this is going to be a tusk, or this is going to be a hand or a finger. It's a very random shape. That's it. That's all I'm like in terms of the time. This is all I'm spending in this shape. So I have it in there, right? Now, I'm going to go ahead and reuse this one by duplicating it, right? And I have solo enabled, so it's only showing me what I have selected. And again, with the Sculpting Pro, I'm going to press Shift. I'm going to do that. And this time I'm going to push it in a different way. Again, try to keep things as generic as possible. And when I say generic, I mean, what I'm doing right here is pretty generic, right? Let's duplicate that. Another one. When when things start to go away from that sort of generic thing, you start doing this type of thing. I mean, it is cool, but it is not as generic. Like if you add this to a character, you will see this everywhere. But you can totally do it. I will leave it for the end. Maybe like do the last 5 pieces of your CDK, sorry, to be kind of like more specific. But for now, just concentrate on larger shapes, things that you can use in multiple creatures. Right. So this shouldn't take that long. Don't spend too much time on each piece. This is like creative writing, letting yourself be creative and create shapes. And I'm just duplicating bits and pieces. So maybe I'm going to take the sphere now, duplicate it again, make something a bit flatter. The idea as well is to sort of have a little bit of everything, have like flatter surfaces, something that we can use. I don't know, if you think about it like a clavicle, no, not a clavicle, sorry, like a scapula. It has like these ridges, but it also has like flat surfaces or flat pieces. That's kind of like what I'm trying to achieve here. Or it could be an ear, maybe. But again, I'm going to try to keep things as loose and generic as possible. Something that has like a bit of a C shape. But you see, this takes no time, right? I'm going to do another more. Maybe this time I'll do this just to show you something else. I'm going to bring in the gizmo, and you can use the gear icon to really change the shape. So I'm going to maybe use the bend curve, and that creates those points in there. You can also click on this cone to add more points. So I'm going to add 5, and then you can start doing this sort of thing. Right? And those points, you can also scale them down. So it looks like a little slug, except, and just because there is a little bit of intersection here, I'm going to use Dynamesh with a low resolution like that, then clean that up. Again, don't worry about resolution, or well, resolution when you use Sculpting Pro is not that bad, but don't worry about the topology or anything. If I show you, this is what each one of my pieces look like, right? So don't worry about that. I'm going to do another one. And I think I have 7. Let's do duplicate. Yeah, so I'm going to have 8. Let's do another one here. Maybe something like that. But like I said, the more generic, the better. So I know it's sometimes it's a bit tempting to just go like, oh, this looks already like a horn. Let's just make a horn. You can, like I said, you can do that, but those are the things that will prevent you from being very creative later on when we used the kit. All right, so for this one, let's see which sort of shape I don't have. I think similar to what I have in my kit already. I'm going to make something with a couple of, like a bone. By the way, this is another cool tip or trick. Let's reduce the size. If I want to smooth this area right here, and I also want to, as I smooth it, I want to inflate it. So with the Sculpting Pro, if I hold the Shift key, I'm going to show you the thing that I wouldn't do. But with the Sculpting Pro, if I pressing Shift, you'll see that it smooths everything, but it's shrinking everything. If you want the opposite effect, if you want to smooth things but inflating it, you have to hold Shift just to start smoothing. And then as soon as you start, you let go of the Shift, and then you do the same thing, but you see it just inflates. So that's a quick way of generating those things. So you see, I'm using it like that. Okay, cool. So I think that works. Again, it looks like like a short femur or something, but this will give me some ideas when we get to it. All right, so I have 8. Like I said, work on more of these. Again, I'm going to show you more techniques to do this. So as I show you, let's say the VR version of this, continue to create your own kit. So like I said, aim for 25. I think we have enough time to build those 25 pieces. Twist might be an interesting one. Let me just show you. Let's create one more quickly. I'm going to append a cylinder. So you can, from this button, you can append any sort of, maybe like a ring, just to make something cool. And it will be at the bottom. The difference between append and insert, by the way, is that append will add it at the bottom of the subtool list. Insert will add it below whatever you have selected. So I can go and select this one, click insert. It's going to be the same thing. I can insert anything, say like a cylinder, but you'll see it will insert it just below it. I mean, I just wanted to point out the difference because, you know, sometimes it's important. So for something like this, maybe I can just go ahead and use the bend arc. I'm also going to click on Unified. The Unified button is on the deformation palette in the tool palette, and it basically keeps your shapes within the 2x2 volume that ZBrush likes to work with, or the units. All right, something like this. So with this ring, I'm just going to make something cool like this, and then gear icon from the Gizmo 3D. I'm going to click on twist. I'm just going to twist things like that. And then also using the bend arc like that. So now I have a pretty weird, complex shape. You know, I'm not making things too generic anymore. So I'm going to break it. But this could be an interesting piece that will give me some random shapes that might be interesting. But yeah, that's how easy it is to create this really random stuff.